Hello everyone and happy Tuesday. Today we are here to talk about vision health because it is Vision Health Week, and with all the pollen in the air and the extreme heat, there's a lot of dust because it's really dry, and it's very common to get dirt in our eye or something like that. But I just wanted to talk about some common eye health issues, and I know that I've talked about this before, but this one has a lot more information in it. So, corneal wounds are really common. And for those who don't know the structure of the eye, it's basically covered with the surface of the eye is a clear skin-like tissue called the cornea, and it can be cut or impaled, unfortunately, and ulcers are all quite common in the dog, especially because they're so close to the ground. Trauma is usually really common cause of this because, for example, they're running through the grass, so they run into something, or they get poked in the eye with a stick, anything like that. Problems with the eye itself can put dogs at risk for corneal damage as well. So things like if the dog has poor tear production, meaning their eyes aren't lubricated properly, or oddly shaped eyes. This is typically more common in the dogs with the eyes that stick out, so like a Boston Terrier or a Chihuahua or something like that. But usually they squint more if they do have it and they're rubbing at their eye constantly. And I know that sometimes it's just dirt that's in their eye, but it's good to give it a check once in a while. So just look and see if there's anything in there. It can also cause the eye to be red from the rubbing and means that more stuff will be coming out of their eye. If they've been running through a field, it is a little normal to have some extra stuff coming out of their eyes because they will have got some in their eyes, but just something to keep an eye out for. Pun not intended. Dry eye is the next one. It's also called, it's a big word, keratoconjunctivitis sicca, KCS. It basically means that they're, what I mentioned before, where their tear glands don't produce as much lubrication as they're supposed to. And tears provide multiple functions. For us, obviously, they're more to release emotion and things like that. But for dogs, they remove potentially damaging items from the surface of the eye and helps to nourish the tissues by keeping them moist and preventing dry eye. And again, not producing enough lubrication for the eye can cause corneal ulcers or chronic drainage of mucus. So when there's just like a lot of stuff and it gets crusty along their face, and pain. So obviously that would be very uncomfortable. Conjunctivitis or pink eye is the next one. So the conjunctiva are the mucous membranes that cover the inside of the dog's eyelids. And dogs have more than one set of eyelids, if you didn't know that. It's pretty cool. You should go look it up. Both sides of the third eyelid and some parts of the eyeball. So conjunctivitis and pink eye are the same thing. It just means inflammation of the conjunctiva and those mucous membranes. The symptoms include reddening, swollen conjunctiva, eye drainage, and discomfort. So because the area is so small, most of the indicators are going to be the same, but it is still something to keep an eye out for. The next one is glaucoma. This is when the balance of fluids in the eye is disrupted and can cause swelling. So the production and drainage of fluid in the eye is precisely balanced to maintain the proper pressure on the eye to make sure they stay in the socket and they're not going anywhere. But glaucoma is common in older dogs and dogs, again, whose eyes stick out, so like a Boston Terrier and a Chihuahua. And symptoms include the same as the others: pain, eye redness, increased tear production, a visible third eyelid, corneal cloudness, dilated pupils, and advanced cases when the eye is really swollen, it'll be significantly bigger than the other eye. We're almost through the list. Hello to whoever joined me. The next condition is entropion or extropion, and this basically means Inverted or extroverted eyelids can cause permanent damage to the eye if the hair is rubbing on the cornea. So when the eyelid flips inside, the hair on the dog's eyelid actually rubs the cornea and can cause damage that way. Especially in breeds that have experienced overbreeding, and those that are bred for specific looks, it's much more common for their eyelids to have difficulty. The most common, well, I wouldn't say most common, but the one that most people know about is cataracts, because they're really common in humans too. And basically, there's a lens in the middle of the eye, and it's normally very clear, but sometimes part or all of the lens develops a cloudy consistency, and this is basically what a cataract is. So they block the light from reaching the back of the eye so that their eyesight becomes a lot worse. It can actually cause blindness depending on how severe it is, but it's something that you do have to keep an eye out for. It's much more common in older dogs or any that have had injuries to their eye. They're often confused with the normal aging process that affects the dog's lenses called lenticular sclerosis, which is a normal aging process. Cataracts are different. They do typically occur in older dogs, but they're not the same thing. Both conditions give the pupils a white, gray, or milky appearance, but a vet can tell the difference. So if it looks like your pet is developing cataracts or lenticular sclerosis, then go have your vet perform an eye exam and see, because if your dog's, you may notice it more if your dog starts to bump into things or having difficulty moving around obstacles. It may be a little more obvious to you, but just give their eyes a check every once in a while just to see. There are a couple of things that can help if your pet has eye conditions or is a breed that's more prone to eye conditions. Many of these require veterinary attention or surgery, unfortunately, but there are some ideas for easing pain and helping to strengthen the eye tissue and that kind of stuff. Did you know that 90% of all canine eye conditions ends up being simple conjunctivitis, which is inflammation of the conjunctiva and just things discharge coming out of their eye, which is great because those are easier fixes than some of the other more serious ones. But obviously the first thing is to take your pet to the vet if they have inflamed eyes, if anything's coming out where it shouldn't, or if their eyelid is flipped, or if you notice what looks like cataracts. Make sure that they clean the eye, so they'll help rinse it, especially if your pet has dry eye. They don't have the ability to clean that stuff out of their eyes themselves, and eye drops can be helpful but are very hard to administer. So get your vet to show you how to do it, and then have somebody help you when you actually have to do it. Help to rebalance the vitamins and minerals in their diet, because it can actually help strengthen the muscle in and around their eye. Blueberries are apparently really popular for this because they contain eye-healthy I always say this word wrong, carotenoids, phytonutrients, and flavonoids, as well as zinc and selenium. These are all things that help with the structure of the eye, and any acupressure points. There are a lot around the eye, just because some meridians start or end on the face. The easiest one to find is probably bladder 1, which is actually on the it's called the canthus, the inner canthus and the outer canthus. The inner canthus of the eye is bladder 1, so that's where the meridian starts to go over the head. That's a really easy one. There's also one under here that helps, and there's one on the outside. But it helps to ease eye pain and fatigue. Bladder 1 in here. Just be careful that your dog's not moving, because you may accidentally poke them in the eye. And it's about the pressure you use to putting contacts. So it's actually really gentle. It's not like pressing. It's just really on the surface of the skin type, but that really helps. There are several other ones that help with eye, but I may do a separate video on that because that would be really long. But I hope that you found that helpful. If you have any questions, or if your pet's rubbing their eye a lot and you're not sure if you're going to take them to the vet, I'd be happy to talk with you about it beforehand. But I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you later this week for an Instagram video.